What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Big game to look forward to. It's one we've been talking about for weeks. It is one that could potentially decide who is going to win the Six Nations of 2021. It is France taking on Wales in France, at the start of France. It is going to be a cracking game. France have come a long way. Obviously, they had a hiccup in the middle of this tournament with COVID-19, but they've shown improvement, they've shown determination, they've shown passion. They've been excellent in gaining opportunities, and it's unfortunate that COVID hit them because I think it broke a little bit of their momentum that they were carrying at the start of this tournament. Wales have been outstanding. Yes, there's been a red card or two that has been a factor of a game, but Wales have won. They're undefeated currently right now, and credit to them. They've created a star, been born in Zamet. They have been phenomenal, capitalizing on opportunities, taking them where they need to, and they just go from strength to strength. And for that, I give them credit. No one would have thought at the start of this tournament that Wales could have the potential of getting a Grand Slam title. No one even thought possibly that they would win the Six Nations title. It was all England and France talk. And then Wales started playing and silenced the critics. And I think for that, they deserve the respect. Coach Wayne said that they could potentially win the Six Nations. We all thought, what are you talking about? Your team hasn't been in good form. I was one of them. And I'm extremely happy to say I was wrong. They're a great nation, a hard-fought fighting team that have come back from a very tough situation. 1 year ago, Wales were not in a good rugby position. 2 years ago, they were brilliant. But to show our team can build back their strength, their courage, and produce the goods in important times and take opportunities at final moments, whether it's just one in the 80-odd minute or 79th or wherever, they still have the potential and the commitment to continue a great performance like that. And I think that they should be saluted for. France, their competition is not over yet. They have 2 games at hand. They can beat Wales convincingly. It's not over yet. But right now, it obviously looking the Welsh. Let's talk about France, for example. A young team. A team that has grown from strength to strength. A team that when we look in a couple years' time in the Rugby World Cup of 2023, we will think, holy, you know what? France are going to be a force and or deserving to be favourites for a World Cup. This team has come so far. And again, another team that deserves respect. We can moan for the whole COVID-19 and all that stuff. But ladies and gents, France not too long ago were shocking. They were poor. They were losing to nearly everyone, except Italy, of course. But it wasn't the French team that we've known. Then Coach Fabian comes in and totally transforms this team. Brings in youngsters who are now starting to gel, not only with their players, but with their coaching staff. And they are now producing quality. Antonio Dupont, remarkable, one of the best 9s in the world right now. I think Charles has been a phenomenal captain for France. He's led them from the front, and he'll want to take them on in this big game. They've come a long way and deserve credit for what they've produced and how these players have really just sunk in well. Wales and France. It's a game we've been talking about for a long time. There's a lot of intensity on the line. Right now, if we look at the logs, Wales on top. 4 out of 4. 19 points. France are sitting on 3rd place with obviously a game to play currently. They're sitting on 10 points. If France can win, bonus point against Wales and bonus point with good points against Scotland, then they potentially see an opportunity at winning. But they cannot allow Wales to take a bonus point, because if they even lose with a bonus point, it's pretty much Wales' game. So both these teams have really been great. And I think both should be commended for the performances that they have produced. I just hope, for France's sake, that because they lost last weekend to England, just that they aren't going to lose momentum and that passion that they've been showing this whole season. I want to see France give Wales a hard time. I want to see a competitive game from both these teams. Look, it's not going to be easy. You're playing at the start of France. It's going to be intense. It's going to be big. It's going to be passionate. It's going to be powerful. France know what they can achieve. France know that they have the potential at beating Wales. They did it last year in the Six Nations. They beat Wales 23-27 at the big Millennium Stadium, or Principality Stadium. That's beating Wales at home. And if I'm not mistaken, that had a full-on crowd. So now you're going into France's territory. They should be going in with their heads held high. Forget about what happened last week. Focus on what happened before, the last time you met this team. And let's not forget, there's a lot on the line for Wales right now. They know they have a potential of winning the Six Nations. They know they can win the Grand Slam by the end of Saturday evening. They can indeed do it. But that brings just as much pressure on the Welshmen as it will to the French. Because Wales will have a lot to lose in this one. So the pressure is going to be a talking point for both these teams. But if you look at Wales, they've got the leadership of Alan Jones, who is one of the most capped players out there. He's experienced, he's been here before, he's done it before, he's lost it before. So I wouldn't think of a better man to be in that position right now than on this game. This game is huge. It sets the tone for the Northern Hemisphere of where they are going. It sets the tone of how we could potentially see the end of year tours and what could happen and how it could be. It's a massive one because it sets the tone of who's the most dominant force in Europe right now on an international level. This game is going to be huge. If we look briefly at the last few fixtures, England obviously beating France by 3 points. We're waiting for the Scottish game next week, Friday. And then Ireland, it was a 2-point victory for France, but it was a victory. Wales, last 3 games, obviously beating Italy 48-7, dominated them last week. Then on the 27th of Feb, it was a solid game against England. Yes, you can moan about cards. Yes, you can moan about refereeing decisions, all that stuff. They still won by a good amount of points. 24-25, 1-point victory over Scotland. Zammit breaking the hearts of the Scottish. But they won. They won. So for me, this game is massive. It's a hard one to predict because logically you go with the home team, but there are no crowds. Logically you think Wales, but the pressure. Logically you think France, because they can still just do it. But then you think, what's going to happen? Has COVID-19 bothered this team so much, which is why they probably lost to England last weekend? What's going to happen this weekend? I am going to go with Wales. Wales to win by 5 or less and become Grand Slam Six Nations champs. I believe deep down that this team deserves it. There are people out there who will probably disagree with me if you're not Welsh, obviously. But I think this team has worked damn hard to come back from where they were and to where they are now. So I'm backing Wales to win. But we'll have to wait and see. On the day is when you need to perform. And if you don't perform, you are going home. That's going to do it for today's one. It's going to be a cracking game. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you legends real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.